cups of coffee at Churchill's, not 10, maybe more like 5, but I had a lot, so I'm all caffeinated and stuff like that, but that's so I'm basically ready to make a video. I'm ready to make a video. I've been wanting to make a video since this morning. Again, sorry about the low light. I'm not doing anything about it because I rather be comfortable when I make a video, and it's a lot of work when I do put lighting in these videos at night. It is a lot of work, okay? So I rather just not go through the work. If I don't get a lot of views, I actually don't care. Just so you know, I really don't care if I get like 3 views. I don't care. The more views, the better. I like the thumbs up. Just so you know, I do appreciate the viewers I got. I appreciate you guys. But I'm just saying, I go about the mentality of making videos where I really don't care. I just be me. Not who others want me to be, and that's what I'm gonna partly talk about in this video. And speaking of not caring, or not, or really caring about what others think, whatever. I If you notice, I got makeup on a little more than usual. This time I got lipstick on. And the reason why is I'm going to be digging into some of the sexier topics, and I kind of want to look the part too. I realize that if I'm going to make a video talking about sexuality and sexy stuff, that it's better to also look the part too as well. In my camera, I can see myself, but I can't see everything. I know sometimes under my neck there may be a little bit of like, I know that there may be a little bit of a what I'm saying, there may be a little bump underneath here sometimes. Especially you watch my other videos, I get all comfortable and there's a bump underneath here, the double chin. Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't really want that's not sexy. I don't really want to, I don't want to make this video about that, okay? But I know that that happens in a lot of my videos, and actually even like a thin girl, that's completely normal, because I see even people on Instagram all the time like saying, why do I have a double chin, and I'm all sexy and all, and I'm thin, and it happens to everyone. So I'm actually like only slightly overweight, and I'm losing weight. My goal is like about like 130, and I'm like well on my way there. So I have a new diet. Throughout 2016, I've changed my life, and I can give my one friend, I can give my guy friend that I've dated for like 6 months now credit for that. He changed the way I look at health and shit, so I give him credit for that. And I've been, I have a very nice figure right now, so if you see like a double chin or a bump underneath my chin, don't think that I'm fat or some shit, because I'm not. So it's just my posture. That's why it happens. See, if I'm like this, I'm sexier, but if it's like this, I'm not. I know that's been going on a lot in my videos, so in speaking of my posture, I will adjust that now. So, anyhow, yeah, it's just the fact that I want to get comfortable, so that's why you see, like, stuff like that going on. So, yeah, I decided to put on more makeup because I said I was going to be digging into some of the sexier topics, and I want to look the part too. I think I'm going to do that for now on. If I'm going to, like, talk about something sexy, and especially if I know it ahead of time, I'm going to put on the makeup too. I don't really like wearing lipstick usually because it's a little uncomfortable. It is. And then I have to wipe it off, and I might be wasting makeup, and my makeup, most of the makeup is not cheap, so I don't really want to waste it and shit, but I look a lot better with makeup, it's true. I really do. I mean, I look beautiful without makeup too, but makeup really, that's what they call it, makeup, Okay, what I want to get into now is, anyhow, I was reflecting on 2016. It is now 2017. I was reflecting on 2016, and I had to go through a lot last year just to get my dating life into gear, just to jumpstart my dating life. just to get that going, I had to do a lot. And I know I've said this in my other videos, but it's important that I say it for this video as well, that I have autism. What I actually have is Asperger's. It's higher functioning form of autism, but what I have is, I'm gonna say autism also just because, but it's really Asperger's. I have Asperger's. I am an Aspie. So anyhow, the first thing I'm talking about here is what I had to go through to jumpstart my dating life, to initiate that, anyhow, my mom didn't want me dating like most other moms, and I went out on a date on, it was like 3 days ago, a day before my birthday, on New Year's Day. I actually went out on a date, and I learned that my mom is no different from a lot of other moms. They're all protective of their young girls, and they all don't want their young girls dating. I can't say every single mom, but for the most part, moms out there are pretty much, they're like same problems that other people have gone through, the problems that I have, and I just didn't realize it because I've been living a bubble. And I've been like, oh, woe is me, poor me. And no, it's not like that, because a lot of other people are going through it too, almost everybody. So you gotta, I mean, that's part of maturing. I realized that, and I recently just turned 20. This is actually my first video that I've done since I've turned 20, and I've made a few mental adjustments to the way I think and my perspective on things already. I can feel myself becoming an adult more and more every day. So, and that's a positive thing, by the way. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a kid too. Oh yeah, I'm still like a kid too. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not like in a hurry to grow up or some shit like that. But, anyhow, what I wanted to talk about is, it was so hard because I broke up with, yeah, I would like to consider him a boyfriend, my ex. We weren't monogamous, so to speak, but I wasn't dating any other people. He was just the only one dating other girls. I wasn't, because I didn't meet anybody else. He was like the only guy I knew, so we were together not for very long. We broke up and then got back together, but the first time we broke up twice. First time we broke up, I went on Tinder, because he was really giving me that encouragement to do it also. And another thing I was considering is Match.com, but I found out most of those websites you had to pay them for that, and I figured, well, okay, fuck that. I'm just gonna go on Tinder, and I did. And it changed my life. But anyhow, I went on Tinder, and the first guy that I was set up to date, I'm not gonna say names here, but this first guy I was set up to date, I'm not gonna say his name, so we're just gonna call him the nameless dude, okay? So I'm just gonna call this guy, he's a dude, okay? So yeah, this first dude, I was kind of like, I set myself up to date him. This first dude. Anyhow, my mom was very vocal about how she felt about this. So it's not that my mom was against me dating, period. It's just that I know I've gone over this a million times, and I gotta say it again. I will say it again and again and again and again, because people don't know, because people make assumptions, and most of the people watching don't know me. For any new viewers out there, I have something that I'm not I'm attracted to guys that are much older than me. I have a preference for guys that are usually older than me. and sometimes way older, okay? Sometimes even up into the 50s age range, okay? My ex was also in his 50s, so for any of the new viewers out there who are not familiar with me and who I am and my background and such, that's just something for you to chew on. Okay, don't judge me because there's a reason for all this, as there is for everything. Okay, I would ask you not to judge me, but that's just been a part of who I am ever since I hit puberty. So I've been dealing with criticism about that for years and years and years and years. Oh, I actually have a viewer. Somebody's watching me. Wow. Okay. Person who just tuned into my live feed, I'm doing this for a YouTube video. You're seriously the most perfect girl I've seen in years. Thank you. Thank you. I'm doing this live stream for a YouTube video. I actually live stream on this app and I download the YouTube videos. Show a bit more down. Yeah, sorry. I'm doing a YouTube video right now because when I'm done with this live stream, I'm actually going to download this for YouTube. I didn't even tweet this live broadcast out or anything, so I'm really in the under realms of the internet. You know, I'm not. I didn't. You know, I don't even do a tweet about these live feeds. You know, I'm really just like, underground. But anyhow. Okay, I'm gonna jump to what I was gonna talk about originally. Nice for all the comments. So anyhow, I'm gonna jump to what I was gonna talk about originally now. So having the disability that I have, basically, when I wanted to date this guy on Tinder, this dude, I'm just gonna call him a dude, okay, because I'm not saying his name. I always try to avoid saying names. So, I'm telling a little story right now for anybody who is just tuned in. I'm telling a story right now, and I'm going to continue. So, this is the first time I've gotten comments on the live stream app. My feed usually blows up with comments if I go on YouNow. But I don't even do YouNow anymore because I can't download them. You know, YouNow took that feature away and I was out of there. They lost me. So, okay, let me get back to what I was. So, the first guy that I wanted to date that I ended up telling my mom about, I actually tried to set up things with my dad. I made a deal with him. I say, hey, look, I don't want to tell my mom, and you know why, and you understand, and we all like. Then at the last minute, my dad chickened out. He was like, oh, I'm not doing this. This is the internet. This shit's shady. Tell your mom. So I ended up doing that because I had already, was trying to close the loop with this guy that I was going to go out with him and stuff. And he wanted to go out at a real fancy restaurant. And later on, I realized that there was better guys out there. I just kind of like had the lust going on for this guy too, because I knew that he was taller and he was older, as well as the other guys that I would date later on. This guy was also, this guy maybe was slightly younger by maybe like a year actually than the next guy that I was dating for real. But anyhow, the dude I'm talking about right now, this dude, I never went out with him. I almost did. Now I told my mom about it. She had a big problem with it for multiple reasons, mostly because of the age. But he wanted to take me out to a fancy restaurant, and she had a problem with that. And I learned later on. I was talking with one of my other friends was talking to me about something similar with Tinder and saying that, yeah, you want to meet in a casual setting. This guy didn't want to meet in a casual setting because, there would be a lot of pressure. And I know that he basically, we all know that he wanted to get in my pants right away, and at a fancy restaurant, the whole thing just kind of like sets the tone for what was going to happen. And I mean, I wanted that too, and we both knew that, but anyhow, I was just really uncomfortable with the idea of going to a fancy restaurant too, and like anyhow, my mom had a lot of problems with it. And I even got kicked out of the house. My dad and I both, we kind of like, but mostly me, I got kicked out of the house. My dad was trying to work with me to make things better, and the whole thing, it looked really bad. And my mom's been knowing for years that I liked older guys. I mean, she's been knowing that for years, and she just never accepted it. And until now, she accepts it more now. But then I had told her repeatedly over and over again about like my sexual preference. And I don't mean female or male sexual preference. I'm talking about, this is a whole different thing. This is more like along the lines of a fetish preference, but whatever. The age thing. I've been telling her about this since I was 13 years old. She never accepted it. She never accepted it more until she does. She never accepted it more like she accepts it now partially. She'll never completely accept it, but she didn't want to accept it at all when I first told her, and she just went into like, she just totally went into freak out mode. I think, it was bad. But anyhow, since I have autism, I basically, I never would have been able to date anybody at all off of Tinder unless I threw a fit or threw a meltdown, so to speak. I had to, because I'm a human being. I just had literally gotten over the 18 threshold, and I was 19 years old, and I had literally just gotten over the threshold of being 18 and having my first relationship and my first breakup, really, and I had just gotten over all of that. And I've always believed that I'm a human being, and as a human being, I have rights too. So basically, she looked at it, my mom, because I have autism, because of my disability, it's really Asperger's that I have, but because of that, she was like, oh, she's just having a meltdown, she's just having a fit. No, I was standing up for my rights, because she was holding me down, holding me back from growing up and such. She was holding me back. I know why she freaked out as much as she did, because the guy wanted to take me to a fancy restaurant and it just didn't look too good and everything. I get it. But she's just against me dating, period. I mean, the age affected a lot of this, but the age difference affected a lot of this, what was going on. But she's just against me dating, especially that kind of age range. She was just against it, period. No matter who, okay? It didn't matter who. But anyhow, the facts of the, like I can't think of the word right now. The facts that were behind this dude, and the whole dating thing that he wanted to, just what was going on. It was a bad impression, first of all. So, a bad impression with my mom and everything. So it just kind of crashed and burned. But anyhow, I had to have had my first relationship and my first breakup, and this dude too, these people would all pave the way for me to even have a dating life in the first place. But basically, the way I look at it, my meltdown, my fit, I was standing up for my rights, which my mom was trying to take away from me at that time, because I have been an adult legally for about 3 years now. I just turned 20, so just barely over 2 years. I have been adult for like at least 2 years now, and I went through a lot. I paid my dues. I was of age, and I had been wanting something like that since I was 13 years old. I had been wanting a dating life, and to be active in that, and to I just wanted to be like active with really, I just wanted to be like that with the opposite sex since I was like 13 years old, and that only makes sense. I mean, that's normal. Those are all normal desires since I was 13 years old. Puberty, hello. So anyhow, I couldn't do that back then because of my age preference. I've always had my little age preference ever since I was like really young, and I just didn't speak about it because it was so fucking taboo until I finally could find the words and the means to voice it. And people made fun of me. People, I don't want to say people spit in my face, but people had those type of loud reactions where they would just stomp all over my turf. You know what I'm saying? Like, people were really outraged when I told them, and upset, and people didn't believe me, and people would contradict me and everything, and people would talk over me. They didn't want to hear it. Nobody wanted to, and I understand. I mean, it's so fucking taboo. So anyhow, and I got really bullied, and I actually had to lie about in 8th grade it got really messy with that, because I had been telling people the same thing for years and years and years and years. In 8th grade, when I first started being more vocal about it and talking about it and being more open about my sexuality to people, I was just honest, and then the whole thing fell apart. I was getting bullied really bad, and I undid it. I just told people that I was a lesbian, and I'm not a lesbian. It was a lie. It was fabricated. I made it up just to get people off of my back, and then girls started asking me out. And I was like, oh no. So then I had to tell literally the entire school that no, I'm straight. I lied to you guys. I like older guys. I got so much backlash from I got so much backlash from them, that I basically I just put it out at the table at that point. I just put it out on the table. You know what I'm saying? I literally just, as far as my sexuality, I just put it out on the table at that point, and I hanged out alone, and I actually had friends. Most of my friends were actually grades under me, because they weren't in my grade. They didn't know all that shit, so they would hang out with me, and once I talked to a counselor about it, I got people to understand more, and I talked to teachers about it, and yada yada. But people just, everybody turned their back on me when I told them. At first they acted, yeah, I mean, this has been going on for years. I mean, oh my god, the way they looked at, not that I'm gay, but the way they looked at being gay and such in like, the 60s and 50s, yada yada, what I have is, I'm straight, but I like men that are older than me. That age gap thing. It's actually more common than most people think. It's not like super common. It's not actually even considered the norm either, but it's kind of common. It's not the normal thing, no, but it's common. It's not normal, but it's common. And it's not normal. That's why people didn't react the way they did, and it's common. It's common, but not normal. So, got that out of the way. Okay. So anyhow, the whole point of that story was that having a disability or anything, that is kind of like, just anything that's like a disability, like something that people judge you for. If you have a scar that people judge you for, and no matter what it is, I'm talking about everything, okay? I'm not just talking about disabilities like autism, but anything. You have anything that people judge you for, like a scar or something. You have anything that is something that people give you shit for, and you can't help it. It is so important, especially having a disability like I do, to stand up for your rights and to stand up for your rights. It is so important because I did that. I standed up for my rights, and you know what? People are, all my life, people have been all in my face thinking that every time I stand up for my rights that it is labeled as a fucking meltdown or a fit. And you know what? Having autism and, well, it's Asperger's. Having Asperger's, I mean, I did throw real fits where they were real legit meltdowns. It had nothing to do with standing up for my rights. But, some of these things that experts and know-it-alls like my mom call meltdowns or fits or tantrums. Part of it is standing up for my rights, and a lot of it is that we just don't feel heard, but people, I mean, growing up all my life, some of these instances where I stand up for my rights as a human being, people have confused it for having a meltdown, misjudged it, complete misunderstood it. For me having a meltdown just because I don't agree with my mom's views or I don't want to submit to her authority as a parent, people have said, oh, it's a meltdown. It doesn't mean anything. Basically, all my life, I've dealt with that, and it's like, no, you don't hear me. It's like, I've struggled to be heard, to have people hear me, especially with my disability. They're quick to judge, to think that I'm stupid or fucking retarded or some shit like that. And no, I'm actually very fucking intelligent. Okay, I am fucking smart. Listen, I have a college education going here. I'm not finished with college. I'm 20 years old. Of course I'm not finished with college. But I have a college education going here. I'm not dumb. And anyhow, when I was younger, of course I didn't have a college education when I was like 13 or whatever. But I've always felt that people, never really considered, that, just people never really, people, always have their opinions or the way it should be or their assumptions kind of thing or their stereotypes. There's so many stereotypes. Having autism and being on the Asperger's side of it, I've always been very aware of the stereotypes of autistic and Asperger's. I've always been very aware of the stereotypes, especially on the internet. I've always been very aware of the stereotypes. And we have rights too. I'm here to fucking remind you that we have rights too. Because, it's not right for you to judge us, especially if, I don't care how listen, I just think that whole word retarded should be retired. I don't even think that we should be using it as a society. I don't really think that's a good word to use. But anyhow, no matter where we are on the spectrum, no matter if we're at the bottom or if we're at the top, and I hate to say it that way because I don't want to put anybody down, but no matter what, I think it's just always important that that we have rights, we should be heard. is something, yeah. I mean, so it's just so important to stand up for your rights no matter who you are, and I just coming out and saying that I think some of the meltdowns that my mom has looked at, some of the instances where I don't agree and I want to stand up for my rights, and I want to I want to be able to be to protest what she's saying, or to be able to you know be able to be free to be me, to be able to be me, to be able to be to do the things I want to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be able to live my life. If I want to hang out with my friends, I can, be able to hang out with my friends, without such and such being a problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, to have, to ultimately have the right to do such a thing. You know what I'm saying? To have a right to do what I want to do, to live my life, to be in control, to, have new experiences, so on and so forth, and everything. But anyhow, some of these instances where my mom has went against me and I have stood up for my rights, where she is actually, I think, in the wrong. I think, yeah, especially being an adult. She is literally miscategorized as a meltdown. When literally, I think sometimes she's the one who has the problem. I'm sorry. Mother isn't always right, guys, okay? I'm sorry. Your moms aren't always right. Seriously. And, like, some of these instances where I've stand up for my rights, like, miscategorized, even by, I literally, like, I've, ever since I've been diagnosed by autism, the agency that diagnosed me, they gave me, like, a counselor, I had a IEP and all that shit. My mom would tell the counselor so many times about my meltdowns. And I realized that I didn't have a voice. That it was just all about her. Just because of my fucking disability. People didn't care about what I thought. It was instantly a given that they'd listen to my mom and put my mom first. Just because of my disability, it's like I was the fucking problem child. It's like a lot of these meltdowns that I have that were looked at as these fits and meltdowns and everything, that they didn't understand that I was just trying to stand up for my rights, that I was just trying to have a voice and be heard. And watch some other videos on Asperger's. I think you'll understand what we're talking about. Watch as many videos on Asperger's if you want to get to know me better. But anyhow, literally, because of it's an illusion, because I have a disability. Instantly, what I say doesn't matter because I have a disability to them. Instantly. They're stuck in this illusion. Oh, she has a disability. You know what? She's wrong because she has a disability. They instantly looked at me like I was always the one who is wrong. People always looked at me like I was the one who was wrong. My mom looked at me that way. Not so much my dad. My dad was more on my team, and that's something that I will be eternally grateful for, I'm sure. But anyhow, I've had it hard with my mom. I've had problems with my dad at times too. It's never been perfect, but my dad and I have a really good relationship now, and but at times, yeah, but anyhow, even my counselors didn't, want to listen, even the counselors, it's their job to listen, and the counselors, as soon as I get in a room with a counselor, my mom was in the same room, instantly, just like giving the mic to my mom, it's like, oh, she doesn't get to speak, she has a disability, she's the dumb one, what she says doesn't matter, Oh, she thinks that? Oh, yeah, her opinion doesn't matter. She has a disability. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, anyhow, that's the way I got treated growing up. So I just know how important it is to stand up for yourself and stand up to your rights. Because if I didn't learn to stand up for my rights, I learned it from somewhere, obviously. I don't know if it comes from in here or if it's I think it's both. I think it comes from my heart and I think it comes from other people. And I think it comes from role models too. Like I really look up to, I look up to, one of my biggest role models is Nikki Sixx. If you watched my other videos, you know that he's like one of my greatest role models that I've ever had. But I mean, yeah. So I'm just saying, if I didn't stand up for my rights, if I didn't speak up, none of the things that I've had in place, none of the things that I've had in place would be the same. And other people also gave me a chance too. I credit the people who've given me a chance, and there are people out there who've actually listened to me. I'm just talking about the people who don't, and there's always going to be those one or two people that are not going to listen to you. And for me, it was like half the people didn't listen, half didn't. But for me, when I was younger, it was really hard to get somebody to listen to me. I'm talking when I was 13, 14, 15. It would take an act of God to get somebody to listen to me. To get somebody to interpret what I was saying and interpret it right, it would take like an act of God. So when I was younger, I had a really hard time speaking up. I couldn't speak up for myself at all when I was like maybe 10 or 12. I could hardly speak up for myself at all. I went through a period where I had to basically get I basically got shitted on, so to speak. I had to go through a period where people would just give me shit and I would take it because I couldn't speak up for myself until I was older. And I think the value of speaking up for yourself and standing up for your rights should be taught from a young age on. Because if it isn't, that person's going to be miserable because they're not, they're going to have to learn from other people. I never really learned how to really speak up for myself until I got much older. So I can't stress enough just how important that really is. So yeah, just sometimes my mom would go around telling the world that I had a meltdown. My mom has talked about me behind my back a lot and talked about me to other people with me having disabilities. She's always telling people how hard it is to raise me and all this shit, and I never really appreciated it, but that's the way it is. And I'm not the only one. But anyhow, some of these instances that I had meltdowns, I think were kind of misjudged and misunderstood for actually, that there's a deeper meaning behind it, that I'm standing up for my rights. So don't. I'm just saying, maybe this happens with other people. Just because somebody had a meltdown, just because you say somebody had a meltdown doesn't mean that it really was that. Maybe it wasn't a childish fit. Maybe they're trying to say something. Are you listening to them? Is there something wrong? You should be asking that person questions about how they feel and about what's going on, and is there an issue, and maybe their rights are being violated or trying to stand up for their rights. Maybe there's that authority in their life that's not letting them be an adult or whatever it is. It doesn't even have, and sometimes it doesn't even have anything to do with being an adult. Is there something going on? Is there self-esteem issues? I think people should be asking that instead of being like, oh yeah, you had a meltdown. No. Ask them questions. Ask them how they're feeling. Don't sit there and scrutinize them and criticize them and tell them to stop having meltdown. You can tell them to stop having meltdowns once you get down to the root of the problem. I just think, some of these bozos don't even get down to the fucking root of the problem. Yeah. Anyhow, now that I've ranted about standing up for your rights for 40 minutes. I'm gonna get to some of the sexier topics of this video that I wanted to address this morning, but didn't get the chance to. Alright, so I want to talk about my sexuality for a good minute. I got this text from one of my friends the other day that basically she told some of her friends about me, that basically all my life I've been telling people that I like men and not boys. So sometimes that can get misinterpreted, because you gotta understand, boys is just a real general word. You know, sometimes boys is just thrown out there like any other words, used as just a real general word. Boys and girls just use the real. You gotta realize that boy is talking about a particular person who's, that's of a young age. But I understand a lot of grown men call themselves boys just because, as slang. Don't get it mixed up with that, okay? A lot of grown men just call themselves boys just because it's slang, just because they feel young and yada 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 yada. Okay, I'm talking about the literal meaning here. I'm not talking about any slang. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I'm gonna have to give you a specific example. Okay? So, I'm having a hard time of thinking of a specific example now that I speak of it, but well, in a lot of songs, music is a really good example. In a lot of songs, a lot of times, in music, when, okay, in music, that's a good example. So, like, I think this was big in, I think this has always been a thing, really, where there are, like, basically, I'm not saying that this bothers me, but I'm just trying to clarify something here. When I say I like men and not boys, I'm just trying to clarify this so people get it. For the people who don't understand, there's a lot of people who do understand, but there's that certain mass of people out there that don't understand what I'm saying. I just want to clarify that when I said I like men and not boys, I know I'm kind of repeating it again, but there's especially in music, there will be a lot of like maybe rock bands and yeah. There's a lot of guys over the age of 20 and so on, and even in their 30s up into the 40s and way up in age, will continue to describe themselves as boys, or a group of guys as a group of boys, and so on. It gets thrown collingly out there. You know what I'm saying? It just kind of gets thrown out there a lot, and as far as I'm concerned, a man is somebody who's like, just an adult, okay? A man is an adult. There's a lot of adult men out there that will call themselves a boy, or a group of men is sometimes called a group of boys, and so on and so forth. And in music, like, that song by Thin Lizzy, "The Boys Are Back in Town." Come on, they're not boys anymore. They once were, But anyhow, you know what I'm saying. I'm not trying to interpret. I'm not lyric interpreter here, but I'm just trying to throw out a few examples so people understand what I'm getting to. And that's actually kind of hot if you're an older guy, or you're a guy in your 20s, whatever, and you're calling yourself a boy. Actually, that's kind of hot sometimes. It depends. The older you are and you're calling yourself a boy, like you're in your 30s and you're still calling yourself a boy, or 40s, I actually think that's kind of hot. So it's cool. I'm cool. So, I hope I clarified that a little bit. I'm sorry if you still don't understand what I'm talking about, but I hope that it maybe clarify that a little bit. Like, a lot of times in these songs, they're not gonna say, the men are out tonight. They're gonna say the boys are out tonight. Music is a really good example. I will give you "The Boys Are Back in Town" by Thin Lizzy as my prime example of what I'm talking about. But this is something that's been going on like for ages. So I'm just saying, a lot of times, But anyhow, when I'm talking about the literal meaning, that's not the literal meaning of a boy. I'm talking about the literal meaning. When I say that I like men and not boys, I mean it literally. Okay? Literally. And I'm told you there's a lot of men out there that call themselves boys. That's not the literal meaning, okay? They're just talking about their gender. That's why they say that. But it's kind of like slang, But anyhow, I don't want people to get mixed messages here. What I mean is that, no matter how young I was, I always liked adult men. No matter how young I was always that way. When there was a certain age, I was 13. I started being more open about my sexuality. I've been actually open about my sexuality since I was 12. Originally when I was growing up, I didn't know. I thought it was normal for, young girls to like men that were like 10 years age gap or just way older. I actually thought that was like normal or some shit, to be liking men that are like, 5 years age gap and up. I actually thought that was like the thing, but no, I found out that most of my peers were getting in relationships with age that were actually same age or maybe 3 years apart at the max was considered normal. I mean, even if a guy got with a girl who was younger, that was even looked at as being funny. So I actually thought that every girl every girl at my school was gonna be like me and all the yada yada. So I was like really misinformed. But anyhow, I learned as I got older that I was different. But yeah, I began being open about it when I was 12. I was talking with a friend of mine in 6th grade. I know that's really young, but bear with me here. I was talking to a friend of mine in 6th grade about my sexuality. I first started being open about it. I said, I was talking about how I wanted to sleep with a guy. I was about 12, about 11 or 12. Started being open about it. And I was talking about a guy who, I was 11 or 12 talking about what in my mind was a guy over 18 who was an adult, and you could, see it. I would say boy back then like everybody else, but in reality, literally, no, I was talking about a man. But when girls usually talk about boys in middle school or such, it's like literally boys who are like teenagers and younger. So in my mind, a boy is like teenager and younger. In my mind, that's what a boy is, and that's the literal meaning of it. So that's like definition terms, So I think everybody kind of gets the idea now. Anyhow, I get this text from my friend, and she was like, I was telling my friends about you, and I was like, oh damn, because like I try to keep personal, I try to control who knows. I totally feel comfortable talking about this on YouTube, but with other people, I don't want them to know, and I'll even lie. I realize just how taboo this topic is, and anyhow, most girls my age, for the most part, what's normal is that, for young people like me to get with people that are within their age range, like maybe 3 years, maybe like 5 years at max, 5 years age difference at max is what's considered to be socially acceptable. I just came at a point where I realized that my preference for age was something that was not widely socially accepted. Like what I liked as far as liking men at that age was not socially acceptable. And now that I'm 20, it it's like yes and no. Now that I'm 20, it's like I've brought my cards out there that it's some yes and some no. Now that I'm 20, it's yeah. I'm getting more in that I'm more at that age where people can kind of like just be like okay. You know? I'm getting more at the age where people can be okay with it if I want that older guy in my life, that people are not gonna like, it's being more socially accepted now that I'm getting more up into age. It's more socially acceptable because people will look at me as an adult more, especially now that I'm 20. But one day the age gap may become shorter and shorter and fade away. Because once you're 30, if you're 30, doesn't, if you're 30, doesn't really matter that much. I mean, even now, I would say, but anyhow, when I was younger, I was really, like, adamant about this, that I liked older guys. I mean, even now, I really, really like a guy in his 30s or like, even late 20s is hot, but I even feel the same way now. I mean, yeah. I even feel like that now, and there's nothing, guys that are closer in age to me, I mean, I get that too, that's kind of like okay to me. It's like okay, it's like it's like you say not interested, somewhat interested, I'd be like somewhat interested. But as you get into like late 20s and 30s and 40s and up, I'm like way interested. It's weird. Yeah, I know. But every time I say this, I swear to God, people think, oh, she likes elderly people. No, that's not the case at all. I'm not talking about, I'm not talking about people who are like, I'm not talking about the guys that hang out at the nursing home people. People sometimes misunderstand this when I talk about it and think, ooh, she likes people that are like, the no, no. I'm not talking about real old guys that are like, I'm not talking about the grandpas out there. I'm not talking, it's not like I like grandpas, no. And people that misinterpret it that way, and yeah. I'm not actually, I'm not really into that. So I just wanted to clarify that too. I'm repeating some of the same messages that I've been saying for years. I'm repeating some of the same messages, but it's okay. It's 2017. If I have to repeat some of the same messages that I've said in my previous videos, then I will. I'm okay with that because I like educating people. I like making myself understood to people. I mean, I've heard from one of my friends who knows more about Asperger's than I do, that to some degree that I actually may very well, because of my Asperger's, that I enjoy being, I like that whole I like the whole thing with older guys that are older than me. Also, I've heard also maybe because of Asperger's to some extent would be a driving force behind that, or very well like a cause or a catalyst behind my preference in age. And yeah, I totally think so, that it's possible. because I actually talked to another girl on the internet who has the same thing I do, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say it right now that there's a technical term for this. It actually falls under the category of philia, and no, I am not pedophile. Okay, people, every time I say philia, people jump to that. No, just no, and that's not okay. Okay, that's not okay. Every time I've came out about this, people have been so arrogant about this and just complete idiots that they just jump to that. The technical term for this thing that I have with liking older guys is called teleophilia, okay? And nobody's gonna know how to spell that. For the people out there who do know what it is, great. Most of you don't know what that is, okay? And it falls under the category of philia. And no, it's not a bad thing. It's just not considered normal. It's not a bad thing, you know. It's not illegal. It's not, you know. It's just, you know, it's just on the very wide, you know, it just falls in the category of sexuality, you know, and everything, yeah. And it's just not socially acceptable. Doesn't make me any worse. Doesn't make me, you know, doesn't make it better. Doesn't make it worse, you know. Nothing wrong with it. That's just a scientific term for it. I threw that out there. I actually have a book about this. I was actually thinking about taking that word out of my book, and I probably am, because too many people misinterpret it and misunderstand it. There's too many people out there who automatically think it's the P word, and it's not. And that's so not okay. That's so not okay. All right? Anyhow, what I have out of all the philias that exist out there is probably one of the most normal ones anyways. It's one of the most common. I mean, that's the most common philia ever. Teleophilia. It's the most common one. I can tell you that. Okay? It's very common. I mean, the only thing I can say about illegal is I was once underage, under the age of 18. Yeah, then it was illegal to pursue the kind of man I wanted. That's why it was very hard for me growing up. So, I am going to I'm going to wrap this video. I'm going to talk about the last thing. I'm going to talk about one of the things that turned me on, that I've been thinking about a lot. You know, I really love it when my lover picks me up. I love that. It's such a big turn on for me. And, I mean, being carried is like, whoa, that is like hot, you know, but I haven't been carried in a long time. I've just been picked up, you know, physically picked up off the ground. That even turns me on, and it sends me into a sexual daze when guys do that. I just love it. It's so fucking hot, man, and it's such a big turn on for me. I mean, being carried is the hottest, or like just when guys, like, you know, when guys hold, you know, it's like, you know, for me to be held by a guy, you know, and everything, it's just like, wow, man, it drives me crazy. That's just such a big turn on. It's something that I've been really thinking about lately and everything, you know, something that I fantasize about constantly. And, well, yeah. dick is the most important thing. You know, yeah, dick is really, oh man, yeah. You know, we, that goes without saying that, you know, yeah. It goes without saying that, that, you know, sorry. Okay. It goes without saying, as far as men go, that their penis is the most important thing that I look forward to. You know, I mean, I know personality is important too. That's like, yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just something that I always look forward to. It's always like the surprise at the end, the sex, you know, and I like doing all that sexy stuff, you know. I know, I guess blowjobs are considered like foreplay or something. I love that. And yeah, and I love sex too. You know, yeah. That is like, that's great. You know, I love it when guys text me that I give them a boner. I love that. You know. Yeah. I had a really crazy dream the other day that I was like in a wild west town, and that there was a band playing in my garage, and that I wanted to rehearse with them, and I don't really have time to get into that and everything, but that was really interesting. I had a sexy dream that my first crush that he whipped his cock out, and oh my god, yeah, that was really sexy. And I knew it was like, it looked like about 8 inches, and then I heard him admit on the radio that he measured up at 7. I was like, oh my god, I was right. I was like, this imagination's right, baby. I was like, oh my god, you know. And yeah, yeah, oh my god, yeah. Yeah, I have a very sexual imagination, as people who know me know that. Anyhow, I've been on winter break for like about 3 weeks now, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and I'm really working on my music. I've been neglecting my book a lot, and that's a shame because my book's really good. I've been neglecting my book. When will I get to editing it? I don't know. I will make sure that I start that whole process before school starts up. I've been paying more attention to my music, as it is the center focus right now. I have a hard time multitasking. If you look up Asperger's, you'll know. So I've been neglecting my book, so I want to touch on that again too, and I want to update it. But the most important part is the editing. I also heard of this thing called Wattpad. Man, I want to rock Wattpad. When I'm done with the background of Anne, I want that shit on Wattpad. You know, I want my book on Wattpad. You know, I'm gonna rock Wattpad with the background of Anne. You know, it's gonna be awesome. I really want that up there. I really, really do. But anyhow, with people judging me with my sexuality and all that shit, and that I'm not normal, because the normal thing is for girls to date. Girls and boys go together, and women and men. Society, here's what it's about: boys and girls, women and men. Anything outside of that is considered like not normal. You know, like girl and man, not normal. So you know what I'm saying here. So I'm not girl and boy. I'm girl and man. People judge because they're not like that. So anyhow, and there are girls like me out there. It is it is common, you just don't hear about it because it's fucking taboo. And I'm actually one of the people who will talk about it. I'm a talker. I'll talk about it. But trust me, there's people out there who are more shy. If you're, this is a term that a lot of people who are, a lot of people, I guess a lot of people who are homosexual tend to use this term, but I'm not trying to stereotype here. It's called being in the closet, okay? I'm not in the closet! Really? I've been very vocal about my sexuality. I put it out there. In the videos at least. But in my business life, I live a double life, of course. In my other life, where I'm very businesslike and all that. When my interactions with new people, that's not the first. I don't go around telling people that I used to. I learned the hard way that you gotta really get to know people well before you say that. And one of my friends even knows that about me. And anyhow, she texted me. She was like, I told my friends about you. And it was like it was so bad, It's like I told her I've been telling the people this for years. And every time, especially people who are my age, when they know, when I tell most people, especially people who are around my age, or it doesn't even matter. They can even be older, and even women who, especially people who are conservative minded and have, I'm saying, people who are very close, and people who are, maybe people who are called, I heard of this term called normies. Maybe people who are like normies, okay? I don't know a lot about the term normies, but it's just something I heard on the internet. And I'm also a meme admin, so I know a lot what's going on, what goes viral, and what doesn't on the internet. But anyhow, I heard of this thing called normies, and I think a lot of the normies out there, I tell the wrong person, they get grossed out. I get it. People roll their eyes. I've gotten so many reactions. But yeah, it's not something that I go around telling the world. I don't go around telling strangers about it, when I meet people. I'm quiet about it until a certain point where I feel it's appropriate to talk about it with the person, that I know them well enough. I really have to have the person's trust. People, obviously, sometimes, people sometimes run with it. People run with certain things. But I just wanted to get finished with that. Yeah, I wanted to get finished with that. Make my point. Say what I wanted to say. Yeah. Well, anyhow, I'm different. I've learned to embrace that. I've learned that different is cool. It's fine. I can embrace that. Yeah, I guess, yeah. I mean, yeah, the question is, would I consider myself normal? People have different views of what is normal anyways. I'm a good person, and I'm a good, well-mannered person. I'm well behaved. I would consider myself to be civil. I'm down to earth. And I'm a nice person. And people have different perspectives on what's normal, what's not. I'd compare myself with most people and say I am normal. But then, you look at specifically other people who are around my age, then and I my Asperger's and everything, on the music I'm into and all this stuff, and I'm certainly am different. So it's like I'm both normal and different. So I'm somewhere between the two, maybe, but I think I'm normal, and I think that I'm different. You know? I mean, yeah. It's just some things. It's just, I guess, that one aspect about me, my sexuality, me liking older guys isn't socially acceptable. That's just that one thing I can think of. That's it. Other than that, I'm pretty normal. I lead a pretty, normal life. I get good grades and everything, but yeah. I think somebody could go in the comments section on YouTube and debate me about this. That's why I turned my comments off on YouTube, because somebody could go on a debate with me about this, but I'm just telling you the way I see it, the way I view it, what I think it is. Maybe you don't think of it that way. Maybe you have a different perspective on what it is. I'm just telling you what I think it is. It may not what you think it is, I'm different in a cool way. Some people may not. But I think I'm different in a cool way. And I think most of my friends would agree. In fact, all my friends would agree. Yeah, I'm different, but I'm different in a cool way. And I'm different in a good way. That's what I'm saying. A lot of my friends actually are different, in a cool way. I'm an artist, and I have another friend who's an artist, most of my friends are like artists, and I have a friend who considers herself to be emo and scene both. I have a friend who considers herself to be alternative. I have a friend who is an artist who considers himself also to be he's also an alternative, but a different kind of alternative than she is, because I have a friend who's like emo scene, and I have a friend who's also alternative, but it's a different kind of alternative. It's not, it's a different alternative. But anyhow, I have a lot of friends who are alternative, and a lot of my friends are different like me as well, so I think it's something that's totally awesome and fine, If we were all the same, the world would be a boring place, and I'm not even the one who said that. I think Nikki Sixx said that, not me, but yeah, I think the world would be a boring place if we were all the same. I think several people have said that. Not the first one to say it. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to more creative projects in the future. This year, hopefully. I like to express myself. I've always been like that, so whenever way possible I could express myself. It's not really a big goal of mine to gain more followers or to have more of a following. The way I look at that is I'll worry about that later on when I get a little bit older. Like when I'm done with whatever it is that I want to do, then I'll look into the promotion aspect and maybe making it more known. But I really don't look at it like that. It's really for me just to express myself, and whoever catches on, whoever doesn't. Like I said with my YouTube videos, I'm not big on viewers. I just like the little viewing I have. That's fine. If it gets bigger, it gets bigger. Great. I like positive attention, but I don't like negative attention. I hate negative attention. And I've gotten negative attention before. I know what that's like. So I don't have a big following on Instagram or anything. I only have like I have a meme account that has like about 400 followers, but my regular account has about maybe like 300. That's about it. I don't have a big following on social media, and I don't really use. I know there's tools out there to get yourself a big following. You can buy followers. I actually had a YouTube video. I did buy views one time. I do admit to doing that, and I just ended up deleting the video because I felt ashamed of it, that I made myself that I basically made a puppet out of myself, and I didn't like it. I didn't like well, there was some things that I talked about that were hot button subjects, kind of sensitive, and I didn't want it out there, and I had changed. I was beyond that. Some of the video was really good, and I'm actually gonna re-upload portions of videos that I've deleted on other accounts in the future. It's going to be released. But anyhow, you guys don't know what video I'm talking about, so that's okay. But anyhow, I have a documentary that I made. It was an amateur documentary. It was wasn't. It was very low grade stuff, very amateur, very homemade. But I made this documentary, Sony Vegas, about my life so far up to that point, what I was doing at that time, and I said some things that were kind of bitter, that were kind of bad. I was kind of talking about I was kind of talking badly of, there was just some things that I decided, what? I was wrong. I changed my mind. There was just some opinions and some things that I've evolved on that I was wrong. And anyhow, I have my reasons why I retracted it, mostly because of the personal involvement of other people and yada yada. I had some good reasons why I deleted it. But anyhow, I'm gonna actually re-release what I made when I was 18. I'm gonna re-release it in the future. So this year, yeah, I actually want to get some T-shirts printed too. So I want to do more. I don't know if I'll ever get my own band. That may happen. If it does, it will be way off in the future, but I know that's a big responsibility. When you have a band, it's a huge responsibility, and it can be hard. So if that does happen, it'll be way off in the future, but, I would just hope for it, yeah. I mean, it's a big responsibility. And for me as a musician, I've been I've been in a band, but it's been a long time. So, I mean, if I was in a band, that band would need a lot of patience, and a lot of people don't have that. So, yeah, I mean, it's not impossible. Anyhow, I'm just kind of talking about random junk now. I went over the important points that I wanted to talk about in this video, what I wanted to be vocal about, and I got into the sexy parts a little bit. It was nice. I mean, it didn't go on for a really long time, What I like, I'm kind of like one of those people who, I'm just a really sexual being, that's all. I mean, I don't know if I'd consider myself to be like a sex maniac. Maybe I am. I mean, I've heard from, I don't really want to talk about it, but I've been called an nymphomaniac in the past. I don't really want to talk about that because, yeah, that was when I was going through my bad period of my life. But, what I like about it the most is I just, the whole thing with sex is there's so much to get excited about. It's new, and, well, I don't know if sex is really new to me, to be honest with you. I mean, I've been into that for years, but, actually being sexually active is something new to me because like a month, like over a month ago, I was a virgin. So, yeah, a lot of my friends actually don't know that I'm not a virgin. So that's kind of exciting, you know. I'm not sure. It's not that lying to you guys is exciting. I didn't lie about nothing. I just haven't told y'all yet. But anyhow, yeah. If you are one of my friends and you don't know that, please don't take it personally because it's something that you might get jealous over. But anyhow, yeah. But I mean, with sex, there's just so much to get excited about, you know, and the whole lust aspect of it. And, you know, I get really excited over some guys. Yeah. Oh yeah. I wanted to briefly touch about my ex. Um, he was kind of like I can't say that he was a roadie. I can't say that he was because I don't know if he was. He may have been, but I don't know if he was a roadie. Maybe, but I don't know. I can't say that he was, but my ex basically we all know that female groupies back in the 80s would basically be the girls to perform sex acts on the guys and to have sex and everything. We all know that the female groupies were about sex. That's where sex, drugs, and rock and roll comes in because the sex is the female groupies. Okay, that was basically the sex part of it for the most part. But anyhow, we all know that female groupies are about sex. But anyhow, he was a guy, and he would party with the guys from the band and stuff like that. And you know, basically, like I could say that he lived by the "I'm with the band" thing, except that he was a guy. You know, but you know, he's not. Yeah, it's not like he was gay or anything. He was no, he was a straight guy hanging out with the band, you know, just as a friend, platonic, you know. I don't know if he banged chicks with any of these guys from these rock bands, but he did that in the 80s. Because Los Angeles, you know, you're gonna run into musicians and become friends and stuff. So, I can tell you that happened with Rat and Guns N' Roses, and that was something that I was totally excited about. I actually really was. It's just something that I wanted to know more and more and more and more about. It's hard to find people with those kind of stories, but it was something that was really electric in the relationship because I'm actually like a rock and roll junkie, you know. Yeah, I am. Oh yeah, I am. I'm a crew head, you know. I'm into other rock bands as well as crew, but yeah. Um that's obviously I know earlier I was talking about Nikki Sixx, I know. I also love Tommy Lee too, you know. I also love Tommy Lee too. You know, both Nikki and Tommy are very inspirational to me. I know some of y'all are laughing right now, but seriously, come on. But anyhow, all right. Yeah, yeah. Well, I love Crew, okay? But anyhow, my ex had ties with Guns N' Roses and Rat. Not Crew though. He had ties with Guns N' Roses and Rat. So that's something that actually it was electric. It was really electric. And my most recent song that I'm working on right now that I haven't released yet, Are You Ready For Me, is about him and the relationship and just how electric it was. It was really electric. It was really electric because of that. So anyhow, yeah. But anyhow, I just realized, you know, everyone I have now, I've learned from that first relationship, and what I have now is even more exciting than the last one, you know, and I actually, okay, this is what's gonna end this video. The other night, I was just thinking to myself, my first crush, you know, even though I didn't fall into the arms of my first crush, You know what? You know that song Adele, I'll find somebody like you that went. Okay. Yeah. Well, anyhow, I found somebody like my first crush. You know, I found somebody like him. I found this guy who has similar interests, who same age ish, and even same height about, yeah. So I don't want anybody to get hurt out there, or, no, yeah. Like, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings out there, but it's a big turn on for me for a guy. I mean, as well as penis size, but the actual like size, like how tall you're like 6 feet or whatever. That's also a big turn on for me as well. So, anyhow, I get that same like electric attraction with this guy that I found, and he's also in his 50s, like my first crushes, and like yeah, he also plays bass too. So I mean, if y'all don't know how I'm talking about with my first crush, I already gave that to you, so I'm gonna shut up. Anyhow, so y'all already getting a picture for me and how I think. I found somebody like him, similar interests and everything. Some very similar, yeah. Also, this guy that I'm with now was actually this guy that I'm talking about that I've been with is born and raised in Los Angeles. Well, my first crush actually wasn't. My first crush actually more grew up in Northern California by yeah, more by Northern California, up by more where San Francisco is. But yeah, I found a similar guy. So that part of me has been kind of satisfied somewhat, and I kind of, as I get older, I more understand. Like I totally have like the rock star personality. So like the reason why I fell in love with with I'm just gonna admit, yeah, I had a huge crush on Nikki Sixx, and I mean, yeah, and I've also really lusted after Tom, and I kind of had a crush on him, and I like him too, and but anyhow, Nikki Sixx was actually my first crush, but okay. I love both of them. Come on. Okay. Come on, people. But anyhow, so I found somebody similar to my huge crush. I found a similar guy to the guy I had a huge crush on. I found somebody similar. Even plays the same instrument. My God. Oh man, yeah. The guy is just maybe like 3 years younger than my first crush. Oh my God. I mean, oh my God, I'm attracted to. I mean, the guy I'm talking about. I just saw him a couple days ago. I mean, I'm attracted to him, and he's attracted to me. We actually have that little. We both have a celebrity crush. His crush is Tracy Lords, and mine is Nikki Sixx. So we both have that in common. So it's crazy, yeah. But I'm attracted to him also, and he's attracted to me. So I don't know. Let's see how it goes. I mean, no, we haven't had sex yet, so I would like that if that can happen, but it's been really slow with that. We've been taking our time, and I get it. I understand that. I'm not gonna rush sex. I'm not. I don't know if we're even gonna have sex. I hope. Well, if we can. I mean, there's always things that come up with that. I mean, for sex,
Health is very important. We have to be healthy. You know, I think that's the number one thing, just for both of us. You know, and the reason why I say that, I'm not gonna dive into, y'all know why health is important for sex. I mean, come on. Come on, people, come on. I mean, with my ex, that's what I was worried about. I was worried about my ex not being clean. Yeah. It's important that the guy be clean. It's important that the guy be clean. That's why I say health is important. You happy now? Also, ED, erectile dysfunction. I mean, that's an issue I've already dealt with, is guys having erectile dysfunction. I think that can go away with Cialis, or I could make it go away. Boom! Make it go away. It's like there's the big 7-inch penis out there. It's like, ooh, yum, baby. Okay, shut up. Anyhow, yeah. So, there is a particular guy out there I have had sex with. He's in his 30s, late 30s. The guy I got my virginity broken with. I'm dating more than one person right now, yes. I'm not in a committed, included, I'm not in an exclusive, monogamous, serious, not one of those kind of relationships right now. So I'm kind of like free to date right now and so on and so forth. That's fun. Honestly, that is fun. I mean, it makes sense for me because I'm young right now, and people climb up in the age they want to get settled down. There's just some people that never want to get settled down because that doesn't work for them. Yeah, basically, I like being single. I like having my freedom, and I know somebody else who is like that too. A lot of people are happy like that. So who can agree with me on that? Raise your hand. Yeah. High five. Alright, I'm done.